I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Tom Cruise has proven time and again to be one of the most infallible movie stars of all time. With the Mission Impossible franchise chugging along 6 movies in and with 2 more on the way, Cruise has no shortage of blockbusters on the horizon. This summer we'll see him return to the cockpit for Top Gun: Maverick, the long-anticipated sequel to his 80s classic. But, outside of those films, the original projects that Cruise has taken part in have been fairly hit or miss in the last decade. Case in point is 2014's Edge of Tomorrow. While critically lauded and having gained a fan following since its $100 million domestic run at the box office, Edge of Tomorrow is easily one of the most overrated action movies of all time, and one of the worst movies Tom Cruise has starred in. I'm Alex Mady, and welcome to the Unpopular Opinion. Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever the hell this movie is titled, left me dreading any sequels to come from this story. Based on the trailers and critical reception, I was fully anticipating that Edge of Tomorrow was going to be a smart military science fiction flick chock full of original visuals and ideas. The time loop conceit seemed like it was going to be used to brilliant effect and tell a story we had not seen before. While Edge of Tomorrow did not disappoint from a visual front, it suffers from having one of the most awfully written screenplays ever put to screen. Written by Jez Butterworth and John Henry Butterworth along with Christopher McQuarrie, and based on the Japanese novel All You Need Is Kill, Edge of Tomorrow is as derivative as movies get and suffers from an increasingly dull plot device. To start, no one in Edge of Tomorrow is likable. Name any number of sci-fi war movies from Aliens to Starship Troopers, and you have your fair share of characters you hate. You also have characters you hate that you learn to like, and maybe even some likable characters you begin to despise. In Edge of Tomorrow, everyone is an asshole, and I didn't feel the least bit bad watching them bite the dust over and over and over again. The comparisons between this film and Groundhog Day are fair, despite the fact that by the end of that classic comedy, you are rooting for Bill Murray and want to see everyone end up happy. Here, from the opening scene with Brendan Gleeson, through meeting Bill Paxton and Emily Blunt's characters, everyone is just awful. But, as much as I liked Blunt's character, Rita Vertasky, she is brought down by the focus being put squarely on Tom Cruise's douchey Major William Cage. Cage is Cruise's single most unlikable character in his entire career, and that includes The Mummy. Cruise has played a number of roles where the character has been just plain rotten, but you have come to like each one of them either through a change in personality or because that's the purpose of the film. Be it The Color of Money, Collateral, Jerry Maguire, or Magnolia, Cruise has done an admirable job of making you relate to the characters he plays. Here, Cage is not a good person, and no matter what happens to him, you never feel like he deserves to be the hero. Through the film, he seems aloof and unenthusiastic about saving the world, even as he develops feelings and skills taught by Vertasky. Emily Blunt plays Vertasky as the epitome of warrior women from Japanese manga and any icy warrior princess that we've seen on screen. Despite her repeated training of Cage, Vertasky doesn't really get much character development. In fact, she's the only primary female character in the story and, aside from Cage, is the only other character fleshed out in any way. Every other role, from Bill Paxton's Master Sergeant Farrell to Noah Taylor's Dr. Carter, are nothing more than placeholders who exist to allow Tom Cruise to command the screen. While the characters generally make the movie, I was still willing to give this film the benefit of the doubt as it chugged along. I was hoping for a light at the end of the time loop, something that would make it click and show me why this movie was being lauded as such a great piece of entertainment. The best I can come up with is that our modern video game-centric culture exists in a mindset where live, die, repeat is a way of life. Your character in Halo or Call of Duty or Fortnite bites the dust, you just try again. Edge of Tomorrow is the cinematic equivalent of replaying a video game until you can successfully complete the level, and just like a video game, once you finish, you move on to a new game without any lasting impact. Visually, Edge of Tomorrow is excellent. I love the design of the battle suits and how the soldiers use them during fights. Set in 2020, the fact that this felt like what military technology may look like if a sudden alien threat were to appear gave the film a little more connectivity rather than making it just laser blasters and typical sci-fi weapons. Doug Liman's approach to filming the battle scenes gives it an immediacy missing in similarly themed films like Jonathan Liebesman's Battle Los Angeles or Neil Blomkamp's Elysium. Still, I could not help but find the designs of the alien creatures, the mimics, to be somewhat boring. Seeing them in motion was well executed from an effects perspective, but just the overall design seemed uninspired. That the screenplay comes from Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise's collaborator on the recent Mission Impossible as well as Jack Reacher films, disappoints me greatly, especially in the third act of the film, which he was primarily brought in to tighten up. With all of these awful characters with no conceivable motivation for their actions, forget the fact that the film provides zero backstory as to why the aliens are really invading or why their weakness is something they wouldn't have thought about in advance so as not to bleed on their enemies lest they suddenly gain the power to live, die, and repeat. Also, forget the fact that the aliens all hide underground, therefore making it obvious to know walking on a beach or land directly above them is pretty dumb. Completely ignore the fact that the movie wildly vacillates between a sense of humor and dour seriousness with no warning and sometimes within the same scene. McQuarrie has even been quoted as saying he injected more comedy into the film after taking over script duties from Simon Kinberg, who replaced Jez and John Henry Butterworth, who rewrote the original spec script by Dante Harper. While the original take was much darker, the levity and humor feels forced throughout and doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the film. With an ending written while the film was already in principal photography, it is no wonder that the movie is so disjointed. Edge of Tomorrow is based on a novel with a complex structure, but clearly an ending had already existed. The decisions here feel like studio speak for we need an ending that doesn't kill the biggest movie star in Hollywood and leaves the door open for a potential sequel. As you may know, a sequel is in development with the title Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. Why not Edge of Tomorrow 2? Because that incredibly forgettable and generic title did not click with audiences, while the Live, Die, Repeat tagline on the posters did. Fun fact, Live, Die, Repeat is what director Doug Liman wanted to call the movie when the novel's title, All You Need Is Kill, was rejected by the studio due to the inclusion of the word kill. Oh Hollywood, you will never cease to amaze me. I could spend this entire video nitpicking other elements of the movie that bothered me, but I can easily sum up my utter dissatisfaction with Edge of Tomorrow with two words. The ending. The elaborate concept of the Alpha and Omega and what Vertasky and Cage must do to save humanity is completely undermined by the poorly devised conclusion to the film. Ignoring the fact that the soldier characters in this film suddenly decide to believe that Cage has the power to save the world and sacrifice themselves on his word alone, but the final resolution doesn't even play by the same time loop rules the film devised for itself. There is a suspension of disbelief you need to accept for a movie like this to work at all, but this is just sloppy writing and execution. Edge of Tomorrow has its fair share of well-shot scenes that work on their own. This is a perfect movie that you can flip on cable and enjoy for a few minutes here and there, but in the end, it comes down to really being a collection of scenes that you could better enjoy as YouTube clips. Groundhog Day worked because each day had a unique element to it. Edge of Tomorrow truly feels like it is rehashing itself for the duration of the film's running time, rather than giving us the motivation to root for these dismal characters. This is one film that I will not be repeating. But hey, that's just my unpopular opinion. Tell us yours in the comments below. I'm Alex Mady with JoBlo.com.